Attention all you rule breakers, you misfits and troublemakers, all you free spirits and pioneers, all you visionaries and nonconformists. Everything the establishment has told you is wrong with you is actually what's right with you. You see things others don't. You are hardwired to change the world. Unlike 9 out of 10 people, your mind is irrepressible, and this threatens authority. You were born to be a revolutionary. You can't stand rules because in your heart you know there's a better way. You have strengths dangerous to the establishment, and it wants them eliminated. So your whole life you've been told your strengths were weaknesses. Now I'm telling you otherwise. Your impulsivity is a gift. Impulses are your key to the miraculous. Your distractibility is an artifact of your inspired creativity. Your mood swings reflect the natural pulse of life. They give you unstoppable energy when you're high, and deep soulful insight when you're low. And diagnosed with a disorder, that's society's latest way to deny its own illness by pointing the finger at you. Your addictive personality is just a symptom of your vast, underused capacity for heroic creative expression and spiritual connection. Your utter lack of repression, your wide-eyed idealism, your unmitigated open mind. Didn't anyone ever tell you? These are the traits shared by the greatest pioneers and visionaries, innovators, revolutionaries, procrastinators, and drama queens, activists on the social scene, space cadets, and mavericks, philosophers, and derelicts, business suits flying fighter jets, football stars and sex addicts, celebrities with ADD, alcoholics who seek novelty, first responders, prophets and saints, mystics, and JJJs. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. You know in your heart there's a natural order, something more sovereign than any man-made rules or laws could ever express. And this natural order is called the way. The way is the eternal substrate of the cosmos. It guides the very current of time and space. The way is known by some as the will of God, divine providence, the Holy Spirit, the implicate order, the Tao, reverse entropy, life force. But for now, we'll simply call it the way. The way is reflected in you as the source of your inspiration, the source of your passions, your wisdom, your enthusiasm, your intuition, your spiritual fire, love. The way takes the chaos out of the universe and breathes life into it, giving it divine order. The way, when expressed by the mind, is genius. When perceived through the eyes, is beauty. When felt through the senses, is grace. When allowed into the heart, is love. Most people cannot sense the way directly, but then there are the wayseers, the keepers of the flame. Wayseers have an unexplainable knack for just knowing the way. They sense it in their very being. They can't tell you why or how they arrived at the right answer. They just know it in their core. They can't show their work, so don't ask. Their minds simply resonate with the way. When the way is present, so are they. While others are blind to it, and society begs you to ignore it, the way stirs you inside. Neurological repression blocks most people's awareness of the way. Censoring all thoughts and impulses from the unconscious is their prefrontal cortex, the Gestapo of the brain. Nothing which violates its socialized programming even gets through. But your mind is different. Your mind has been cracked wide open to the way. by some miraculous genetic trait, some psychotropic chemical, or maybe even by the will of your own soul, your brain's reward pathways have been hijacked, dopamine employed to overthrow the fascist dictatorship of your prefrontal cortex. Now your brain is free of repression, your mind free of censorship, your awareness exposed to the turbulent seas of the unconscious. Through this open doorway, divine light shines into your consciousness, showing you the way. This is what makes you a wayseer. 90% of human civilization is populated with those whose brains are blocked to the way. Their brains are hardwired to enforce the social programming indoctrinated since birth. Unlike you, they cannot break out of this programming because they have not yet experienced the necessary revolution of mind. These programmed people take social institutions and rules very seriously. Society is full of games programmed to keep people's minds occupied so they will not revolt. These games often cause sick fixations on peculiar protocols, power structures, taboos, and domination, all subtle forms of human bondage. This distinct form of madness is not only tolerated by the masses, but insisted upon. The programmed ones believe in rules so forcefully, they become willing to destroy anyone who violates them. Wayseers are the ones who call their bluff. Since wayseer minds are free to reject social programming, wayseers readily see these social institutions for what they are, imaginary games. Wayseers comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Helping those who are lost in these games and refuse to help themselves is the calling of many wayseers. Since wayseers are the ones who keep contact with the original source of reality, they are able to disrupt societal conventions and even governments to realign humanity with the way. The wayseers are an ancient lineage, a kind of priesthood, carriers of the flame, ones in the know. There must always be wayseers to reform the dizzying, psychotic, spinning wheels of society, giant, mindless hamster wheels obscuring the pure blue sky, keeping humanity shackled in a darkened cage. So wayseers are called to shed light on the madness of society, to continually resurrect the timeless, transcendent spirit of truth. Wayseers reveal this divine truth by devoting themselves to the birth of some creative or disruptive act, expressed through art or philosophy, innovations to shake up industry, revolutions for democracy, coups that topple hypocrisy, movements of solidarity, changes that leave a legacy, rebellions against policy, spirit-infused technology, moments of clarity, things that challenge barbarity, watersheds of sincerity, momentous drives for charity. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. This is your calling, wayseer. You found your tribe. Welcome home.
Hi and welcome to the Ask Sue Show. Hope everybody's all okay. I can't say sunny today. Reason, it's 10 p.m. UK time and it's dark. Yep, it's dark in the UK, but do you know what? I can feel a bright light for tonight because, do you know what? I have been waiting for the last few weeks for this, I'm going to say, incredible and amazing, just uplifting, and it's going to be funny and very informative. I think that's the best way to explain tonight's show. Because tonight we have got Dr. Turi joining us we're going to be, all being well, if we can all keep up with it, right, for a 4-hour show. We'll be discussing ET's agenda, explore the cosmic code secrets, what cosmic humanity and predictions for the next large earthquakes and obviously worldwide information. I'm in the UK, so does he know more about the UK? Join us and let's have fun, laughter, serious and unbelievably mind-blowing conversations. We'll be taking calls during the show on 323-870-3861. You can email to book in your number into the show at asksueshow@gmail.com and send us your question. At half-time, we'll be starting the next show because I can only do 2 hours on this day, which is obviously 10 till 12, my time, and then 2 hours from 12 till 2. So we'll have to have a little cut-off, and then you have to join back in, okay? At half-time, we'll be starting the next show with Lisa Barretta and Dr. Turi, obviously author of Conscious Inc., the Street Smart Psychic's Guide, she had to do a tongue twister, didn't she, to Getting a Good Reading, and the Book of Transformation, producer of Surviving Death and a paranormal debate. Lisa Barretta is a member of the National Council for Geocosmic Research, Animal Federation of Astrologers, and I know that you know her from being on the Ask Sue show quite a few times. Now, just to give my thing a bit of a shout out, if anybody wants to join the Facebook page, Ask Sue Radio Show, by all means do. Let us know what you think of the show, and if you want to give us some updates, we've also got an event in there, so by all means, you can literally put your comments in there as well. I want to give a big shout out to Lana as well, because I know Lana's already listening as well. So if you're listening to the show, give us a message. And do you know what? Let me stop talking and let me get in our absolute amazing guest this evening, Dr. Turi. Hi, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Sue. So I might have to make you repeat sometimes because for some reasons we have been experiencing some technological problem here, and our connection is a little bit weak, so I can barely hear you. So when I don't hear you, I will have to ask you to repeat.
Let me just try something. Is that a little better?
Crank it all the way up. That might help.
Cranked all the way up.
Okay, that's a little bit better. He worked. On top of that, I have lost my left ear. The right ear, I had surgery on it. So I will explain all this during the show. Okay.
Okay. Do you know what? Let me just tell everybody right now. As Sue always does, as everybody knows, I never do a plan for the show. Because every time I might have done probably one show where I did a plan, okay? Mm-hmm. It went straight out the window. Because we start about one conversation, then it goes to something else, and I like to just be free-flowing, like as if we're all having a little telephone conversation talking about what's going on. What do you think?
You bet. You know, as a professional radio host for many years, and being on the radio night and day, literally all my life, I have learned that any radio show will take its own identity. So you're just a natural radio host, and you're doing the right thing. It's not a good idea to plan. Let it flow. Let his own life take over, and we're going to have a phenomenal show at the end.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? The thing with me is what you see is what you get, and I just like to be, like just one of the ordinary lasses on the street. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why it works well, and that's why I wanted you to come on the show with me, because the thing is, there is a lot of us, and I'm one of them to a degree, that still I would say that I'm awake, but not awake enough. Okay, mm-hmm. and what I mean by that, to people that don't know what on earth I'm talking about, there's a lot of people that still don't know a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And I've even had one gentleman actually recently say to me he would have preferred to stay asleep than know what he knows. What's your thoughts on that?
I do not blame that person. There are so many infected matrix that control the informations nowadays, Sue, that a lot of people are walking, but they're still asleep. So it's no point of him being asleep. He's already putting asleep. It's like one of these old songs that was written by a very famous band that says, "We are telling you what to dream." Pink Floyd.
Yep. Definitely. We're even controlled, aren't we? Let's face it. Let's start from like the small bits of like, what we all use every single day, Facebook. I mean, even as an animal advocate, we've got groups and pages and everything. I've got loads of advocates across the world. Do you know what I mean? My website's hit 30 countries, and so many people are being blocked on Facebook. It's like as if it's got its own religion.
Yes, yet soon. I'm known all over the world, and when I put an announcement or something on Facebook, I end up with just a few people. So whomever is going to your Facebook page is already being controlled. You can have, I have the maximum Facebook friends, and I have other websites with well over 10 and 15,000 people. Even if I leave and I say something and I post something, I'm going to get only so much people reading whatever I have to say. It is control. Believe me, it is control. Definitely.
Let me just interrupt you there as well for a little minute because I need to do a quick promotion of you. Just to let everybody know, Dr. Turi has actually got a YouTube channel. We'll be putting all the links, everything, all of this stuff all over the Ask Sue Radio Show straight after the show tonight. And I want everybody, as soon as you go onto his YouTube channel, to literally subscribe, because as soon as you start talking, Dr. Turi, I get a notification to say you've just put something on YouTube. So I'm just literally straight away sharing it. And I think, to be fair, I think for you and what you're saying, that is absolutely fantastic, because if people will subscribe, they know that you've done something, and we can straight away share it. Because I know that, obviously, with Facebook, we're getting blocked all the time. Some of my posts, people don't even see it. I think that they're even blocking my Blog Talk Radio account from getting onto Facebook and everything.
Well, let me tell you something. I was on LinkedIn. You probably heard of LinkedIn. And I received the email from the vice president of LinkedIn. And he told me, first of all, he thanks me to be part of millions and millions of people on LinkedIn, and he was congratulating me, saying that I had one of the most researched and read page. Okay, then I started to expose people that are doing the wrong things on this platform. And then for the second time, they have fired me. Why? Because those people, we're talking about Tony Robbins, he is a very famous motivational speaker, but he also have hurt a lot of people by doing all sorts of metaphysical work, gathering people, telling them to walk on fire, pretty much like another very famous guy who used to be on LinkedIn, who actually has killed people in Sedona on a gathering. So when I expose people like this, they don't like it, and they fired me. So, when you say the truth, people are not going to endorse you if it goes against what you call their rules. So there is no room for the truth in any platform, and that's why I have my own YouTube channel where I know there I have much less control than anywhere else in Facebook or LinkedIn or even Google fired me. It's just the way it is. When you control the information, you end up controlling the people that read those informations. Do that make sense?
Yep, definitely. I'm just thinking, we've actually got only a small page on Facebook, and it's called Hey Mr. Government Globally. I'll have to add you as an admin on there, and you can post away, do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, it's like even on there, we've been doing various different things. This is like me showing you that I'm slightly awake. Like we were talking about chemtrails and all this sort of stuff. Now, one of my former hosts, she was on, and she was saying to me about chemtrails and stuff, and I'm like, what? talking about chemtrails. They're putting stuff in the sky, and I'm like, are you on something? Do you know what I mean? And then it was so funny. And then I got sent a video, and they went, listen, you need to see this. And I was like, and I'm not joking. I must have had 2 days when I couldn't physically go to sleep because I was like, they're actually putting stuff in the damn sky. You know, and I was like, and this was like, and I will be honest, that was the day that I literally woke up because they sent me some videos and it was like, whoa. So I'm going to ask the question then. So where did you begin to wake up? Were you already awake when you were born, or is it something that you connected to eventually?
Well, every human being is born with a natal UCI. I teach my students astrophorensic. In other words, the UCI stands for Unique Celestial Identity. So you are genetically 100% connected with your family. You may even look like your mom, your dad, your brother, or your sister. However, in the spiritual genes, in the UCI, you are a total stranger to your closest family member. You will never think, behave, create, or have the same gift than any one of your family members. So you are unique, and that's why unique celestial identity or your spiritual DNA is coming from. So in that matter, every single human on planet Earth own a different UCI, and that does not make it easy for peace and harmony. However, there are a lot of people like you and I who shares the same UCI, or at least a lot of similarity. I know that you are a Gemini. I know that you are a messenger of the gods. The two top radio hosts in the United States, as far as our field is concerned in metaphysics, are George Norrie on Coast to Coast and Art Bell on Coast to Coast, and both of them are Gemini like you. So you are a messengers of the gods. This means you were born to shine through your intellectual potential, through your words, through your aptitude to communicate, and you are very lucky on foreign ground and with foreign people who shares the same UCI as you have. Do I make sense so far?
Yep, that makes total sense. I think what you were trying to say is you're the gobby bitch who's on the radio and get it out there. and like all Gemini, you have a natural aptitude for jokes. A lot of Gemini are stand-up comedians. So as far as I am, as far as I am concerned, honey, I was born with a very, very uranic UCI, which means my issue vibrates at a very high speed. And then a magnet will not attract a piece of wood. If you vibrate at such high speed, you're going to attract incredible things. In other words, incredible experiences, breed incredible people that have incredible wisdom to share. And that's why I have attracted 5 very close UFOs experience in my life. That's fascinating. And you're going to have to tell us about that. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, first, it's important for people to have a little bit of a background to where I am. French, obviously. And I spent the most wonderful years in my life in Eastbourne, in Sussex, in England, from the age of...
hometown.
Absolutely. Believe me, I had the most beautiful years in England. I was training at the Royal School of Music to learn to play piano. I had an English band recording. We produced a record. So basically, I have an affinity with the British. I love the British, and especially beautiful British girls. I'm French, Anyway, so basically, I was born and raised in the south of France, in Provence, which is the birthplace of the great prophet Nostradamus. However, I don't have nothing to do with the prophets apart from that I was born under the same stars, and I was led by the extraterrestrials to master his 16th century divine astrology. Again, that's my background. So I wanted to be a recording artist. I left home, I was 22 years old. So in 1972, I went with a friend of mine to London. We left the south of France. It was nice and warm with a little short and a T-shirt. I had no idea how cold it would be in October when I arrived in England. So we arrived in Victoria Station, and Victoria Station was my home for 3 months. Now, what's interesting is I never learned English. I never took a lesson in English. Never learned how, to type. And I can type faster than what you can read. And I'm pretty versatile and pretty, good in my English as a writer. And I have authored many, many books on Amazon. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you, when I arrived there, I was in a different world. Then all I was doing all day long is to play my guitar in the tubes. Piccadilly Circus, that's where I was. And I was going through different areas as I was living in Victoria Station and coming back every night with a few penny. And then one day I didn't know that there was a mafia in the tubes in London. I don't think those guys who own the tubes here, liked very much a French guy singing his head off and making a lot of money. So we had a fight. They broke my guitar on the rail, and I ended up really, really homeless. I had no way of making money anymore. So all I had to do was, begging for money. And then all I was doing all day long outside of Victoria Station is to look for a job. So imagine a 22-year-old French guy with no able to speak English, knocking the door on every restaurant and saying, "Excusez-moi, monsieur, madame, est-ce que vous avez du travail pour moi, s'il vous plaît?" What? What are you talking about? I was just asking for a job in French. I couldn't speak English. So I was getting skinnier and skinnier, and I had a long beard, and I was smelly and dirty. I was homeless for 3 months. And then one day, there was that lady. She was carrying a bunch of bags, plastic bags. And I ran to her, and I said in French, "Laissez-moi vous aider, madame. Laissez-moi vous aider." In other words, let me help you, let me help you. And the lady looked at me, and she responded to me in French. After 3 months, I finally heard French. And she goes, "Oh, my gosh, who are you? What are you doing here?" I explained to her my situation. And she said, "Thank you." And she said, "Look, my husband died a few months ago, and I need help on my bed and breakfast. If you want to, you can help me, and I give you enough money so you can go back home." So she gave me my first job. And then there, of course, I had my first English girlfriend because I made it up with the waitress. So that's how I started. And then from there, I used to go back to Victoria Station. And during those days, we didn't have any cell phone, internet. So I was going, like in front of Buckingham Palace, I was coming up and down all those telephones, hoping to hear someone speaking French. And then I heard this guy talking in French, and I said to him, "Hey, do you know any places where I could, be in a place where I can hear what's going on and I can understand what's going on?" He says, "Well, I am one of the managers at the Grand Hotel in Eastbourne, Sussex." And he says, "Here's my card. If you want a job, just come there and I give you a job." Oh, my God, I was so happy. So there you go. I say goodbye to the old lady. I grab her, I kissed her, I say goodbye to my girlfriend, and then I moved on to the Grand Hotel, and I started cleaning floor in the basement, and sleeping with cucarachas that were bigger than my hand. Oh, that's true. That's true. I have a book called Beyond the Secret. It's my biography. It also teaches all the power of the superconscious in time and space. So, those who are interested in knowing a little bit more what I went through in England, they really, really should read that book. It's a 600-page book. There's a lot of information, and it's my bestseller. So, now, here I am. I was very, very depressed. And that's where I've learned that the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the thought. So I repeat myself because it's very important for your audience to really, really digest this sentence. Your future is nothing else than the reincarnation of your thought. Or my future is nothing else than the reincarnation of my thought. There's so much power behind this. Let me give you an example. When I was working in the basement, I used to think all the time, oh, my God, I wish I could work at the saloon bar instead of working there in the dirt and making no money. And everybody was going to the saloon bar because that was a place where they were party and all the good time. And then everybody was there. So that night, I was there. And I was at the bar. Listen to this. There was this big Scottish guy here, and he was drunk out of his head. And then the kid behind the bar asked him to pay because it was nearly time to close. And the guy just went berserk. He got his glass, half a pint of lager, and he threw it at him. The kid had just time to move, and that glass went and shattered the glass, the mirror, and all the bowls and everything went on the floor. And then, if that was not enough, he got a big knife out of his pocket. He jumped over the bar, and he started to run after this kid. So I went on the other side of the bar, and I faced him. I'm from the street. I was by myself at the age of 14 years old. I had to do hell to survive. So I had no fear of death or fight. Okay? Yeah. So I put myself in front of this guy and say, hey, why don't you take care of me instead of that kid over there? By the time he reacted, I just, smacked my head in his face, broke his nose, his teeth, and he passed out. And then the cop comes along, and I ran off. I said, oh, my gosh, I hope nobody's going to say anything. Not long after that, someone found me. I was in my bedroom, and they said, Mr. Welch, which is the general manager of the Grand Hotel, is demanding you to go in his office right now. I said, oh, my God, I'm going to get fired. So I went to see Mr. Welch, and I sat. And before he opened his mouth, I said to him, Mr. Welch, please, I need this job. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Please. I can't, it's terrible. Don't do that. He says, Louis, I want to make you the manager of the saloon bar because we need guys like you down there to keep it in order. I was shocked. That's nothing. Listen to this. Once I was a barman for, out there, I had a girlfriend, and we used to go out in the city, and for the first time in my life, I saw a red Spitfire convertible, and I said, oh, my God, what a beautiful car. So immediately, I kept thinking about this car. My gosh, what can I do to get a car like this? But I never had a negative thought like I cannot have it, I will never have it. I was really, really open to the superconscious. That's where God resides. That's where the power creation is. So, again, it is because of those experiences that I'm able to talk to you and develop so much power, so much reality about what it means to be human. So, I was walking the street, I saw this car, and that was it. Now, listen to this. 3 months later, okay, it was about time to close the bar. 10 o'clock was last order. You're British, you guys close at 10 o'clock. So yeah. He was thundering. It was just raining like hell that night. And then I heard some, big bang on my door. So I went there, and my girlfriend said, no, don't go. Maybe he's a crazy guy. I said, don't you worry. I can take care of myself. He may be important. So I opened the door, and this big, huge guy fell on top of me. He was crying. He had blood on his head. He was smelling beer and whiskey and God knows what. He was in such a pitiful state, and he was crying his eyes out. Oh, my girlfriend this, my girlfriend that. The guy, afterwards, I find out that he was an attorney, and he followed his girlfriend from London, and she ended up in Eastbourne, and he caught her with a guy. Okay, she had a secret love affair with this guy, and he was devastated. Then the security guard came to me and says, hey, Louis, I'm going to call the police. I says, no. You don't need to call the police. So I said to my girlfriend, honey, tonight you're going to sleep on your own, okay? I'm taking this guy with me. And I used to live in the basement, but because now I was a manager, I was in a really, really beautiful place, nice and clean, and I had better food. I was on top of the world. So now let's go to the next morning. This guy woke up. He had absolutely no idea where the hell he had spent the night. He was still sick, but all he says to me, he says, did you call the police? I says, why should I call the police? You didn't call the police? I said, no. He says, oh, my gosh, thank you. I'm an attorney. If you call the police and they find out what happened to me and I was drunk, chances are I'll lose my license. I had no idea. And then he goes, okay, I need to go back home. My car is probably dead. So here you go. He gave me the keys of his car. I had no idea what the car had, the problem, what the car had. And he took off. Okay, I went back to the bar. I went in the back of the bar, and that's where he ran into the wall of the bar. Okay, and then what happened? He broke the right side of his headlight. He messed up the radiator. He messed up the fan and the belt. So in other words, it cost me about 200 quid. That's how you say that, if I recall, 200 quid. And the next thing you know, I was driving the car. And you know what the car was? A red convertible Spitfire.
Oh, my word.
This is not a joke. This is real. If you mean business and if you understand the process involving the superconscious, there is absolutely nothing that you cannot do. You need to realize that God does not think. He does not rationalize. Okay? He will kill a baby or anybody in an earthquake, in a tornado, a tsunami, God knows what. Okay? But at the same time, when you have faith, when you are honest, or when your thoughts are strong and focused, and there is no dirt around your thought, you alter the atomic structure of your environment and you create your future. The same process is taking place in the unatomic structure of the human body. And this is why I contracted cancer many years ago. And when my two oncologists told me you need to go through chemotherapy, I said, no. This is going to kill me before the cancer. I did not know what I had to do, but I knew I had to do something. So I listened to that little voice that never lies to you. That's called intuition. And then what I did, I went shopping. And I went shopping to a place like I've been a million times before, but I've never really been there, so to speak. In other words, I ended up in the vegetable area, and I start to look. I say, it's here what I need. And then I realized there were roots, there were vegetables that I have never, ever either knew that existed or bought or tested. So I started to pick them up, all of them, put it in a bag, pay for it, went back home, juice everything, put some honey, and drank it all. Oh, my God, Sue, I felt like a tornado inside of me. All these ingredients that my body was lacking, that was opening the door to cancer, literally went off. Cancer cannot survive in an over-oxygenated body, and if you're positive, if you do the regular exercise, and if you eat those roots. And there you go. It's all gone. I'm now 70 years old, and I don't even look my age.
Yeah.
So that's to tell you,
that's amazing.
Again, the importance of education. You know, you have the pharmaceutical industry out there. They're going to make you a pill to help you to, I don't know, to fart. I don't know. You know, they make a pill for everything. They make a pill for this, and then most of the time, if you happen to have a Neptunian UCI, or a dragon's head or tail or hidden dragon in the sign of Pisces, you are going to be naturally prone to addiction and naturally prone to attract infectious organisms that other people would never attract. But people are not cosmic conscious. They have no idea what it means to be conscious. The very word cosmic consciousness, you got a lot of talking head or a lot of people talking about cosmic consciousness, yet they do not know the essence of what cosmic consciousness means. Cosmic consciousness, simply explained, is the understanding of God's cosmic design and how He talks to us via the signs, or in other words, mastering astrology. And this is why, through my UFO's experience, I was led to do just that. And that, once you have cosmic consciousness and you understand the power of the superconscious, there is nothing that you cannot really have, be, or reach. But first you need to educate yourself. And a lot of these people don't even know where to start as to reach cosmic consciousness. You got so much going on the internet and on Facebook, and if you don't have a strong base in understanding the structure of our local solar system, you're never going to reach cosmic consciousness. So I have students all over the world. I have doctors, attorneys, NASA scientists, governors. These are my students, okay? And they kicked me out of school. So I was 14 years old because I was born ADHD, which means I was born with an incredible amount of physical and spiritual energy, like you in some ways, which means you may read the book from the end, you have to amuse the class, you cannot sit 5 minutes, and ADHD, or being ADD is not a disorder, it's actually a gift. Einstein was ADD, and then people like me rewrite the books. Let me give you an idea of what education is. First of all, there is a big difference between education and intelligence. One of my students is actually a doctor in psychiatry, okay? And a lot of psychologists told me, Dr. Turi, I have learned much more in 1 week, your 1 week crash course in Sedona, than 7 years in an accredited college, okay?
Yeah.
Big difference between education and intelligence. And as I said, Einstein was also ADD. And you have to remember a gentleman called J.P. Morgan. You probably heard of this guy, one of the most wealthier men on the planet, who actually, I think, was also on in the Titanic. Okay, he wrote, "Millionaires don't use astrology; billionaires do. Yet, the religious matrix will tell you if you listen to Dr. Turi, if you touch the stars, you're gonna go to hell." Not realizing you're already on hell. And if you go to drturi.com and you scroll down, you're going to see pictures of all the popes being taught astrology by the Vatican Council, and you're going to see a picture of the popes being enthroned under the sign of Leo, which rules kingdom and power. Do that make sense?
Yep. I'm totally engrossed. Sorry, carry on.
All right, so I'm gonna start with your permission, and go back in 1956. I was 6 years old. 1956. I was already a bomb. It was impossible to keep me sitting for more than 1 minute. And nobody in my family wanted to take care of me, because if you were going against me, I was just freaking out and I was passing out. Okay? Of course, all my teachers could never discipline me. They used to put me under their desk, kick there anytime, anywhere, wherever they landed. They used to make me knee on a ruler on the floor. They used to beat me, the tip of my fingers, and make me bleed. I mean, you have no idea. During those days, when I was at school, before they fired me, I was about 14 or 13 years old when they fired me from the school. The way they used to treat us during those days. And again, I find myself nowadays teaching who is who in America in the latest research cancer surgery, NASA students, in the mayors of cities, and God knows what. So again, you have to be kind of intelligent to work with me. And again, if you go to drturi.com, I'm not making this up, you can look for what does the world say about Dr. Turi, and you can see the type of people that have been educated and the letters of support that they sent me, and they are doctors and PhDs and MDs and name it. So that's to tell you, I'm from the street, but there is a big difference between education and intelligence. Well, let me give you an example to qualify it, to make you understand that phrase. If there is a contest between me and a parrot, I guarantee you that the parrot will end up with a much, much higher IQ than me. Okay? They're going to get this parrot and me, and they're going to put the Bible on the table, okay? And they're going to say, okay, whomever can remember the book is more intelligent than the other. This is how, they test kids nowadays, okay? Memory. Having a great memory doesn't make you intelligent. So this parrot's going to go through the Bible in, 10 minutes, because he reads fast, and then 10 minutes later he's going to start to talk, and we talk your head off, because he's now regurgitating all the verses of the Bible very correctly. While myself, I want to remember the first 2 words of the Bible. And this means the parrot is now, by judging, by society and the scientific community judging people's intelligence, this parrot is now has a higher IQ than Dr. Turi. Do I make sense?
Yep.
No, doesn't work this way. So when I was a kid, to punish me, what they used to do is to send me in the attic. And then our house was standing up by miracle. All the houses around in my village, they were all blown up by the German bombing. So it was pretty tough during those days. And we had no windows, no restrooms, no water, no electricity. So I was going to the attic with my little candle. And my mother said to me, I'll be coming up 5 minutes to lock the door, make sure to blow up your candle. That was a regular thing to do for me. When I was bad, they separated me from my brothers and sisters, and I hated it. So, but you know what? I didn't care. And then that's where it started. Remember, when you vibrate at a very high way, the extraterrestrials are going to be very interested of you. They don't care about your education. They don't care if you're the president or if you have a phenomenal position in life. They don't care about that. They're not interested. They are so much more smarter than those educated idiots out there. That's not what they're looking for. I'll tell you later what they look for, what they are missing. So every night before going up, when I was punished, I used to grab one of these cats. We had plenty cats because the butcher next door was doing all the killing right there, and all the guts and the blood was running by the house, and that attracted, of course, a bunch of cats and rats that were bigger than the cats. In fact, my favorite pastime was to shoot them with my sling, with my younger brother. That was my pastime. So this night I was upset because I could not get a cat. So I went to bed and I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to freeze my butt, because I had a little mattress and one blanket. and I could hear the wind, and it was totally dark, but I could get some light coming from the outside because the street had a little light, and that would make me able to see what was going on after I blew up my candle when my eyes adjust to the darkness. So I was able to see because of that little light. Okay, and then in the middle of the night, I felt something on my foot. Something that was normal for me because the cat sometimes used to join me from the roof, from whatever it is, and they used to sleep with me, and of course with them they had their prey. So waking up with half a eaten rat was a normal thing next to me. I'm telling you, I came from hell. And I got the American dream, all right. So what's going on here? As much as I tried to get what I thought was a cat up to the bed so I didn't have to lose the worms that accumulated under my little blanket, it didn't move. So I said, shoot, I have to sit and grab it. So I did that. Oh, my God. That was the first time ever that I have seen what you call the grays. Of course, when I saw these things, I immediately thought, because during those days we had no TV, no radio, nobody talking about UFO, no UFO researcher, I thought they were little monkeys with big eyes. That's all I was screaming the next morning to my mother. Little monkey with big eyes, Mama, I'm scared. Anyway, so I hid it. When I saw that, what do you want a child do? I went into the blanket and I just hid under the blanket. And I really got hot. Believe me, I was not cold anymore. Oh yeah. and then I got a little bit more courageous, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to see if they are there still. So I just lift the blanket a little bit, and guess what? One of them was right there, 2 inches from my eyes. I freaked out and I passed out. I had no idea, again, what these things were, what they wanted from me, or whatever it is. The only thing I know is the next morning I'll walk up screaming my head off, banging the door trying to get out. My mom will come in, what the hell is going on? You just had a bad dream, You still punished, you're going back tonight? I said, no, Mama, no. And of course, I was back, and I was waiting, and then there they were. And this has lasted until I left the house, because I didn't want to be around these things anymore. But I was forced to leave the house. I'll explain to you in a second. But basically, during those years in 1956, the same type of report was pouring from Russia, kids complaining about a little monkey with big eyes. So I was not the only one that associated the Greys, which are dignified robots, soulless, dignified robot with artificial intelligence, doing the hard work, cutting the cows, flying the saucer, taking care of the electronics. They're just like we have robots nowadays. That's what they are. A little bit more sophisticated than the one we produce nowadays, but that's what the Greys are. So each morning when I woke up, I knew I was going to be okay after a while. So I was still very frightened because it's a very dramatic experience for a child to go through that, especially with no explanation. But ultimately, I knew that the next day I would be just fine, and then that was it. And then one day, I used to tell my parents, "What the hell? Why do you have to scream all the time?" That's where I was about 14 years old. I said, "Is there any way you guys could just communicate like normal people?" And then, but that never went nowhere. And the next thing you know, I end up in a hospital, and with chronic aortic infection in my ears, a lot of discharge from both of my ears, and the infection could not be stopped. So at the hospital, they stuffed my ass with 15,000 units of penicillin trying to stop the infection. Didn't stop. Then finally, the prognostic was pretty clear when my mom asked the doctor. He said, well, he's going to lose his sight, going to get blind. then the infection is going to go into his brain, and then he will die. There's nothing else we can do. He doesn't respond, so you might as well take it home. So after a week and a half in the hospital, my mom brought me back home, but she didn't want me to literally die in front of my other brothers and sisters, so she dropped me to her mother. And guess what? That's where the miracle took place. Grandma never, ever raises a voice. She never screamed. And the very next day, for some magical reason, over. Infection stopped. Okay, this is why I wrote this book, Beyond the Secret. What happened? What happened is, as a child, there is no filter between me and the superconscious. That's why a lot of kids remember their past life. And I remember my last life very, very well. You may remind me later on if you want me to tell you my last life. So what happened is I was making a wish every day. It's like you go praying, okay? You go to church and you pray. Now, I was making a wish. I was praying God that you don't have to go into any man-made building to pray God. Believe me, he's not going to hear you, especially if you don't speak his language. So all I was saying is in my subconscious is I don't want to hear my parents. I don't want to hear my parents. I'm fed up. So do you know what my subconscious or what God did? He made me deaf. He started the process of killing my ears, and that I had to go through surgery on my right ear, and my left ear is completely gone because I have to invest and have another graft on my left side. So do you understand the process of the thought and how the superconscious can alter the atomic structure of your human makeup?
No, you explain.
Basically, when you wish something, especially when you're a child, there is no filter. There is no doubting. There is no doubt. As much as later on when I wanted to have this car, this red Spitfire convertible, I had a very clear pictures of what I wanted and I attracted it. But you also have a negative result. When you're afraid, your subconscious or God does not rationalize. Remember I told you earlier? Okay? He's going to bring you a wish. My wish was not to hear my parents, so he made me deaf. It was in the process of making me losing my hearing. I explain all that in great detail in my book, not only on those two experiences. I got a bunch of them that is crucial for people to understand how much damage they can do to themselves by either wishing the wrong way or not wishing at all and missing the opportunities. So
I'm always wishing. But does this sound like a daft thing? You know, sometimes, is it possible to actually, in a sense, overwish?
No, this is exactly what Gemini do. If you start the book,
I don't feel alone anymore. Geminis, I feel for you, okay?
Well, honey, I have the head of the dragon in Gemini, and I have the moon in Gemini. That's why I made it. That's what I used to start the book at the end. And this is why my thoughts were going left and right at the speed of light, and that was confusing my subconscious. You need to focus. That's why I disciplined myself, and I was able to sit and write those very educational books. Do I make sense again?
Yep.
Do
you know what? Even to read a book for me is like a no-go. Because my brain is so busy thinking all the time. I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, and I go to bed and I'm still thinking. I don't know how to switch off.
Well, you can't switch off. It's your program. You were born that way. Your UCI, your unique celestial identity, made you a Gemini because you're supposed to be a mediator, a talker, a communicator, a platform for Dr. Turi and all the guests that you will ever have or ever had, for that matter. It is your soul's purpose. As a Gemini, as a messenger of the God. You are a messenger of the God. Now, to represent the mercurial energy, because Gemini is controlled by the planet of Mercury, the ancient carved a guy who has wings on his heels. So Gemini regulates communication, transportation, the radio world. Do you think you're doing what you're doing just by accident, sir? There are no accidents, not in my world. There are only cosmic circumstances at work that society, science, and 99.9% of the people walking planet Earth have no clue of. That's why I write books. That's why I do radio shows. That's why I do TV shows. That's why I lecture. I educate people on God's cosmic design so that they can raise to a higher level of cosmic consciousness and be in charge of their destiny. Not an easy game. Absolutely no easy. It's all about education and discipline. But the part of God in you is much stronger than the stars, than the dragon, than the reptilians, negative entities, evil, demons. But if you do not know your cosmic nature, you cannot apply your will. You're going to be a robot like everybody else.
Yep.
Regulated by your emotions. You know, in the eternal battle between logic and emotions, emotion always wins and you always lose. That's what it means. Okay? If you get to have an argument with somebody and you get pissed off and you start to beat the hell out of that person like I did, for example, I didn't lose in that case. Okay? I got lucky. I got promoted, but usually people end up in jail when they beat someone else. I was in England, so I get away with murder. If I do that here, I got a freak in jail or the cops kill me. You know, American cops are nasty. They're crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Seen the videos of that.
You know, everybody wears a gun. I have a gun. You know, I have a license where I can carry my gun in my pocket. Okay, wherever I go shopping, if there is a crazy lunatic, at least I have my gun to try to save myself, my wife, my dog, whomever is around me. But I'm allowed to go in the street and have my gun like in the old day, in the cowboy time, on my side. As long as the police see the gun in your car, you're okay. What they don't like is your gun is in your pocket and they don't see it. Do I make sense?
Right. Yep.
This is how it works in Arizona. It's completely different in California. In California, well, you got to have your gun, but it's going to be on your trunk and no bullets in it, and it's going to be locked. It's stupid. By the time somebody tries to kill you, because all the criminals, they don't have the gun in their trunk, and it's all loaded and ready to blow you away. So that's why mine is in my pocket all the time.
Yeah.
That's the sad reality. This is America, you know. This is Arizona.
Yeah. But you know what? That to me sounds like a whole new world, because I'm not being funny. My ammunition for when I'm shopping is my tongue. You get in my way or you annoy me while I'm in the shop, you're going to get it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm and to be fair, I'm a big girl, right? And do you know what? They can be walking down those aisles towards me, and you would think it took them a mile to get round me, the amount of complaining they do because they've got to go round me.
Right. But you need to remember, Sue, I'm French. So like all the British, I was raised with a fear of just looking at a gun. Forget about using the gun. Okay? I'm French, and in England it's the same. But since I moved to the United States in 1984, especially moving in Arizona, you know, there is plenty crimes going on because they're a bunch of infected gang leaders. But having your gun on your side, that's the peacemaker. Everybody has a gun, so if you mess up, you know you're going to get shot. So you don't mess around, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that you have to get used to when you live in Arizona for so many years. And I have all the guns that in fact, there is more gun in the United States per person. There are people who have like thousands of guns. I got friends that I spend time with them. They show me their collection of guns. I say, what the hell do you need? You don't need all that. I have one small one, one big one, and a shotgun. Yeah, and all loaded to the bed, ready for somebody coming in. Even though that I have the high security camera everywhere around here, I don't have my big dogs anymore. I do have a little dog. So, you know, this is the United States. It's very different. Very different. It's cowboy country.
Yep.
I love it because it fits my character. It fits me.
See, but going back, it's like I've got Lana that's in the chat room. She's actually on the line actually as well. I'll get her on in a minute. And she's saying she's a Cancer and she said her brain doesn't switch off. She's exactly the same as me.
Well, she may be a Cancer, but she might have the moon in Gemini. She might have a rising in Gemini. She might have a
I tell you what,
dragon.
shall we bring her on for a minute?
Well, what I'm trying to tell you, you're not just a Cancer.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
What I'm trying to tell you, I don't practice modern astrology, which start and finish on your horoscope newspaper. That's bull. Okay, I practice Nostradamus 16th century divine astrology. And Nostradamus didn't have a watch or a computer, so I had to design a new software that allows me to read like he did 500 years ago. You are not just a Cancer, a Leo, a Gemini, or a Taurus, or Pisces. You are every single sign of the zodiac in every of the 12 houses that makes the human experience possible. Okay, let me explain something. You probably heard of that biblical phrase, God is in the heavens, okay? Now, Jesus' ministry, Jesus' initial ministry was cosmic in nature. By this I mean Jesus was trying to introduce humanity to our Father in the heavens, correct?
Yeah.
Now, Jesus didn't write the Bible. Anything about the Bible was written 500 years after his death, and it's been edited 1 million times. That's why it's a 15-pound book of dirt. Nothing there. Now, Jesus' cosmic ministry means that the 12 apostles are the essence of the 12 signs of the zodiac, which are involving the 12 hours of the day, the 12 months of the years, the 12 sins, the 12 jury, the 12 tribe of Israel, the 12 notes of music. So when you look at astrology, you have the soul of Jesus' 12 apostles. But, again, the Incorporated Vatican do not want you to know the truth about God cosmic ministry, Jesus cosmic ministry, and God cosmic design. They don't want you to know, because it doesn't bring them money. In fact, all religions, and there are 875 different religions out there, they all have been created by the reptilians, which is a very negative, or extraterrestrials. We talk about these guys later on. Now, if you want to, I can go on and talk about my other UFO experiences. I had 5. We have discussed only 1 so far.
Okay.
All right, so let's go into UFO experience number 2. I recall being in England, working my butt off. Jesus. I was working at the Rumble Belly restaurant. Once I was done, I would run to St. Mary's Hospital, work as a training nurse, switchboard operator, and then sometimes taking care of the mortuary. Okay, I was trying to make the money to pay for my recording, for my musicians. I couldn't even afford a bicycle. All my money was going towards my career because I'm very focused on what I wanted to do. So I came down to visit my family whenever I could have. I had enough money saved. So sometimes I had to work a year or 2 before I could afford to take the ship back home. So that Sunday, I arrived home, and I hugged everybody, and I asked my mother, hey, where is Noelle? Noelle is my younger sister. No, my older sister. She's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
My mom says, oh, she went to work. During those days, she used to work in a high mountain, like in a hospital, some places. Anyway, and then I was upset. And then there she is. She came back, and she was really, really upset. When I was happy to hug her, she was upset, saying to my mom, I'm going to get fired if I don't go back to work tomorrow. I missed the bus. Mama, what am I going to do? No problem. I was like 21 or 22 years old during those days, 1971, 72, 73 maybe. I just can't remember. Anyway, and my mom says, well, don't worry. Louis is going to give you a ride. Now, you need to understand, sir, during those days, okay, I was born in 1950, so I must have been about maybe 18 or 19 years, no, 20 years old. Let's say 20 years old. So in the 70s, we didn't have computers, GPS, cell phone. Okay, the only way for me to go from A to Z was to every few miles, stop and ask for directions. That's all I knew. I never even knew how to read a map. Didn't know what a map was.
Yeah.
I was from a very small village, peasants, you know. You cross my village in 5 minutes, walking very slowly. So it tells you where I came from. Okay.
Yep.
So I took my mom's car, and then we went. Cut the story short, it's about, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't know where the hell I am. All I know is that I'm trying all I can to stay awake, and there's a lot of ice and snow on the roads. I'm pretty high, very desperate. I've been driving for hours, nothing but trees and mountains. And, oh, my gosh. And all of a sudden, got lucky, I saw a light in the bottom of a valley. I said, okay, I'm going to ask direction there. I thought it was going to be a gas station. I hope it'd be open. You have to remember, this is France in the 70s. We didn't have McDonald's operation 24 hours a day. So I was very, 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 very surprised to, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the mountain, in the middle of the night, have this little bar restaurant opened. So I wake my sister up. I said, look, we're going to stop here. I'm going to ask direction and get a cup of coffee. She said, okay. All right. So as I opened the door, and I remember very, very clearly there was no one but me on that little. It was not even a parking. It was just there. So I put the car by the door, and then I woke my sister up. We came in. And as I walk in, I saw 3 huge guys at the bar. So I get very protective of my little sister. So I told her, okay, sit by the door, and what do you want to drink? And I never, ever forget what she said. She said, I want to drink a Coca-Cola. I mean, it was freezing outside, and she wanted to have a Coca-Cola. Whatever. So, women. So I went to the bar, and I asked the barman for a Coca-Cola and for a cup of coffee. He gave me the Coke. I brought it to my sister, and I went back. And I was looking at those guys and said, oh, my God. I really hope those guys have, good intention because they are so big. And then I was, one of them was on my left side, and the 2 others next to him, they were like robots. They had no facial expression. They were looking ahead of them. And I was, what the hell is going on with these guys? They don't even talk to each other. So it kind of bugged me. What the hell is these guys? And then I was pretty scared because my nose was at their belt. So I thought they were like, loggers cutting big, big trees, and that's why they were so big. That I used my, critical thinking. And then the one that was on my left turned towards me. He looked down, and I look up at him, and he goes, do you want to play cards? I look at him, and I said, you know what, man, I'm tired. Thank you very much, but I just need to get my coffee and then get direction, and I'm on my way. That's why I stopped. He says, come on, play cards. You're going to be friends with cards. I look at him, and I said, really? I didn't know. He was right. I'm nearly 70 years old. I cannot play poker. I don't know how to play the 21. I don't know how to play no card at all. The only card I play is the tarot cards, and each hand is a winner. So he was right on that one. But anyway, so he insisted, and I thought, well, you know what? He's a big guy. I might as well be nice to him because I could never beat the 3 of them. So I was thinking of my little sister there. So he got a regular pack of cards, and as soon as my eye saw the card that I pulled, he just tell me before I could even finish thinking. He was telling me what it was. He did this like 2 or 3 times, and then in my mind I thought, Jesus, this guy's, that's amazing. It's a very nice trick. And then what I did, in my mind, I thought, this guy's in my head. And I said, I'm going to change the 9 of diamond for the queen of spades. Then he looked at me straight in the eyes and he says, Louis, this is not a trick, and you're not going to change the 9 of diamond for the queen of spade. Oh my God! And so at the very moment, as soon as he finished to say that, at that very moment, I felt like if someone stick a screwdriver from my right to my left temple. I was holding to the bar. I was about to pass out because of the shock. Not only to realize I never met this guy from Adam or Eve, and he's telling me who the hell I am, my name, and then he's telling me the cards, and he's telling me what I think. So I asked the barman, I said, excuse me, where is the bathroom, please? And he says, it's right here. But 10 feet away, and the door was open. So I managed to go into the bathroom. I opened the very cold water, and I started to put that water in my face. And at the same time, I felt like I was just chained to this guy. I said, oh, you in my head. Oh, yeah, you in my head. You better tell me what the hell you're doing to me, man. I don't give a shit how big you are, excuse my French. I don't care about who you can, what you're doing to me is not right. And you better tell me what the hell. And then I must have stayed in this bathroom maybe 5 seconds. The time to open the tap, put some water. I don't even recall if I closed the tap, and then ran back into the bar. They were gone. They were gone. I look at my sister immediately. She was sleeping still by the door. So I asked the barman, I said, who's those guys? So I said, I don't know. You know, they came here just before you. I said, how could they come here before me? It was only my car. I said, well, I don't know. So I went outside, okay, and I listened and I looked carefully. Nothing at all. Gone in the wind. Oh my gosh, I had a very, very strange feeling. I was still in the crowd from what they were doing to my head. I wake my sister up. I said, let's get out of here. I don't recall even paying the guy at the bar. We left. Now listen to this soon, and I have better things to say or to do than to lie to you, okay? The next thing I know, it's 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, and I'm driving back home. I'm right at the entrance of my little village. I do not recall where the hell I've been for the rest of the night. I do not recall, neither my sister does. She remembers everything when we stopped there and when she fell asleep. That's all she remembers. She doesn't remember me taking her to that I don't know, never been there, so to that hospital or something she was. And then for weeks at a time after that, I had a headache that I would never, ever wish on my worst enemy. I thought I was going to lose it. That pain was crucifying for weeks after that. And then it finally dissipated. And then I went back to England, and I could not stop thinking about that experience with this man in black. And again, the full extent of all my UFOs experiences are in my book, Beyond the Secret, with my bio, and other things that maybe I can't recall just now, but it's pretty deep. I felt invaded. I felt like a microscope, like nothing. I felt like there's no way to tell you. And to this day, I'm still wondering what they did. I understand the process. I was being prepared, so I did not know yet. You know, when you deal with the divine or extraterrestrial, they cannot come to you and do things when they feel like. They cannot bring their ship into this dense physical world when they feel like. They have to wait for very specific uranic energy because antimatter does not agree. So in order to prepare me for the next level, so to speak, which started when I was 6 years old, they did something to my head that night. And that will make sense as I proceed in telling you other experiences that I had to go through. So that is experience number 2. Very, very memorable, extraordinarily painful, shocking. There is no words in English dictionary to describe the feeling after that. But I was led, I was prepared to other experiences. At that point, I had no idea that I was going to get more, or that I was going to attract more extraterrestrials. But I did.
And this is the thing, isn't it? When something happens to you, whether it's experiences like you've had, it's like we have, different people have had psychic readings, and it's been an experience, and it's like, I think that's when people believe truly. So changing it over to psychics, for instance, it's not until you have that reading that absolutely blows your mind, and it goes, whoa, how did they know that? Like, that's when you believe even more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just you see, Sue always said to the people in my UFO conference, witnessing this type of experience is a very, very personal thing. I can dance on my head. I can tell you anything I want. Those who vibrate at my cosmic speed, that are open to this topic, may relate to me or even accept it. But there are people that you could never go through because their UCI is too rational, is too practical, and they can only see life through their 5 limited human senses. They do not understand, and they don't want to understand. Sometimes they are religiously poisoned, so they don't want to dwell with this because they think it's all evil. But ultimately, it might have been very, very tough all along for me until my very last experience, which was a blessing in so many ways. But all along, the preparation, it's like boot camp. It's like Schwarzenegger building his body. It demands. It's painful. It's a process. And then I was a chosen one for a very specific purpose, which are becoming very, very clear towards the autumn of my life. At 70 years old, I start beginning to understand now what I had to go through all that. And I don't think it's over. I don't think I'm done with extraterrestrials. Once they have a connection with you, this is it.
That's amazing. Okay, let's just go back for a second. So, obviously, you've been prepared for everything that's coming up, which we'll talk about in a minute. Do you believe, like, for me, I've had stuff happen to me, but it's been more on different psychic sides. Again, can that be them setting me up for things coming? Because, for instance, let me just tell you one little story. When I was younger, I was expecting my second child, okay? I'd got Kimberly. She was, let me think, she was about a year old, and I was expecting my second. I was at my mum's at the time, and my mum had gone out. And I'm one of these. If there's a van pulls up outside, I've already got the registration. I know what these people look like and everything else. Do you know what I mean? Neighbourhood watch and all that nonsense. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this guy had pulled up, and he literally come and knocked on the door. And he said, "Hi, is your mum in?" And I went, "Sorry, she's at town at the minute, but she won't be long. Do you want a cup of tea or something?" He said, "Oh, that'd be lovely." So he comes on in. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "She won't be long." He went, "Does somebody smoke cigars in the house?" And I went, "No." I said, "My mum and dad smoke." I said, "But no, not cigars." No. He said, "I can definitely smell cigar smoke." I said, "No, nobody in here smells cigars, smoke cigars." Right. He said, "Have you felt anybody around the back of this chair before?" I went, "Sorry?" And he went, "Hold a minute, and I've also got to say to you, what about the brown and white dog that's at the top of the stairs?" I went, "Woo." I said, "You're freaking me out." He goes, "Why?" And I went, "What? You've seen a brown and white dog at the top of the stairs? Literally on the top step?" And he went, "Yeah." He goes, "No, it's just over the top of the stairs." I went, "My dog passed away ages ago." I said, "It literally about a year ago." I said, "So, what?" And he went, "What's your mum's name?" And I said, "My mum's name's Amy." He went, he said, "I'm at the wrong house." I went, "Sorry?" He went, "I'm a psychic." And I went, "Oh, you're supposed to see Jan next door." And he went, "Yes." He said, "That's where I'm supposed to be going." I went, "Oh, whoa." I said, "Don't think you're going anywhere now." I said, "One, I've made a brew. And 2, I need you to continue." So he said to me, he said, "Right." He said, "Well," he said, "I want to continue." He said, "I can still smell the cigar smoke, so that's round you. he said, but also you've had where you have literally got people felt like you've had people behind you in that chair. I went, yeah, I have actually. He said, because I've always thought it's my dad coming through the door, but I've turned around and he's not there. He went, no. He said, it's somebody that used to live here. They come behind the chair because they're wondering why you're sitting in your dad's chair, because that's the head of the house's chair. So he can't understand why you're sitting in it. I went, right, okay, that makes sense. He said, and your dog, yeah, he said, he sat on top of the stairs. You can just see his nose, but he's brown and white. I said, that was my dog. He died a year ago. He went, yeah. I said, okay. I said, let's put it this way. I said, if you're good, I said, let's see. He goes, what do you mean? And I went, what about, what sex baby am I having? And he went, he said, the next baby that you have, he said, yeah, he said, the next baby you have will be a son. I said, right. He said, but, he said, I can see a girl in a christening gown. I said, right, okay. Never thought no more of it, because I'd had something happen to me when I was younger. Anyway, so that sort of made sense. So anyway, he goes, my mum comes home, then I'll get a telling off because I've let this man in. So anyway, cut a long story short, I went and had my little girl on the 16th of December, and unfortunately, after 2 days, she died. I didn't know, but her dad went to the actual the place for the baby to rest, where the baby rested, and he went there and he asked them, would they put her in his sister's christening gown? He was right, because the next baby I had, as in to keep, was my son Jamie. He actually had seen my daughter that had passed, and then he'd seen my baby that I was next going to have.
Well, that's pretty interesting, I tell you that. All I could tell you is about you losing your child. Sometimes humans commit suicide, or karmically they're supposed to be born and die. There is all sorts of karmic reasons for why your child don't make it past the birth time, so to speak. But in your case, you seem to have more of a psychic connection with the subconscious, and that can be refined. You know, there is a way to refine your psychic powers. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, when I delegate with somebody's mind, I use a software and I read the person's cosmic identity, and then knowing exactly what is the source purpose of a Gemini or Taurus or Cancer, etc., helps me to guide them to be more productive in their lives.
Yeah.
But, you know, my mother always says to my mom, you know what, I don't think I'm a psychic. And my mom used to say, well, you're more of a psychic than what you think, because she was also a psychic. She was doing all sorts of work. But my mom was a Scorpio, which is a sign who involves metaphysics, and she was a Gemini dragon still, like you, the same stars than you, and she loved to communicate, and she loved to talk to people and guide people. So you got the same affinity that my mom, and sad enough, I was able to predict the exact day of a death. So that's why my gift of predictions can be either a gift or a curse sometime. I remember that is the exact same day that David Icke was stuck in an airport in Los Angeles when he was refused a visa to go to Australia. So that was one of my windows where I said, be ready for the beginning of the end of important phases of life. The same type of window that has led this young kid to kill these people last couple of days in the United States. Terrible. So in that respect, it was the beginning of the end of my mother's life, the beginning for a lot of people in Australia, the end for a lot of people in Australia that could not listen to David speaking anymore. So, you know, the windows that I have are, you know, very, very accurate if you take the time, of course, to investigate my work. So, again, if you go to drturi.com and click on my blog, or if you listen to my YouTube videos, I refer to those quatrains to those predictions, to those windows endlessly, because life is a constant process of endless changes, and the news repeat themselves. So I know when those windows are coming back, and later on I will give you dates to some predictions of those windows that are coming. So let's move on. With your permission, we can go to my another prediction, another UFO experience that I had, but this time is with my brother. Incidentally, each UFO experience that I had was with a member of my family, apart from the first one where I was a child, and the only witness I had was a cat and a dead rat.
Yeah.
So, again, I finally managed to get myself a recording deal from Paris after working many, many years with my musician. During those days, we didn't have CDs. We only had a record that we pressed. So, hey guys, my record was there. I got the recording deal. I got all my musicians in Paris, and we were re-recording in the studio in Paris. I was on my way to do very well as a singer, a recording artist. And then after all this, I went back home, and I usually stayed during those days with my brother. That was in 1981. I never forget that year, in 1981. I went back home, and my brother, I'm half Italian and half French, half Sicilian and half French. So my brother was into this, business, hotels and restaurants, ski station and titty bars and, all that. He was a mafioso. So he's now in Africa. He's not allowed in France anymore. It's a long story. So he went that way. I went the other way. He's a Scorpio, the sign of life and death and drama, and sign of the night.
Yep.
Anyway, so I used to stay with him, and during those days he used to live in a big farm. And he had horses and all, so I used to stay with him because he had all the good stuff that I didn't have when I was a kid. So plenty of food, plenty of everything. And then every single night we used to take off from the farm at 10 o'clock. I stayed with him a couple weeks, and that's when it happened, of course, in 1981 in November. And then he wanted me to play my record in his discotheque to introduce my work, So anyway, here we are. It's 10 o'clock at night, like we did every single night since I arrived. We are now driving through the vineyard. It's in a small road, and that small road is going to take us to another big road and then to the highway, and 1 hour later, or even 11 o'clock, we arrive at a discotheque, and that's where we start everything, and at 12 o'clock we open, and we stay open all night. Okay, that's how it works. So usually come back at 9 o'clock in the morning after breakfast and sleep the rest of the day, and we do this again the next night. Okay, so here we go. 10 o'clock, driving. My brother had a brand new Mercedes, and believe me, these machines are very reliable. In fact, I'm driving a Mercedes, and they never break down. Okay, it's really, really good cars. So we were driving through the vineyard, and I saw some light coming from the right side. And I asked my brother, I said, hey, Joe, is there people in the vineyard working now? Say, my brother is a guy with little words. He doesn't talk much, typical Scorpio. He says, Louis, it's November. Grapes are picked up in September. Another word, shut up. So he kept driving, and then I kept looking at these lights coming towards us. And then, right on top of the car, his brand new Mercedes stole, just died right there. And then we are both looking up through the windshield. All we can see is light, a lot of light. And that's where you see the big mafioso, courageous guy. When I said to him, hey, I got to go out and look at this, he said, are you crazy? Stay in the car, stay in the car. So I managed to get away from his grip, and I went outside, and then couldn't see nothing. I was just, blinded in the light. That's what it was. Couldn't
Yeah.
see nothing. And then all of a sudden, and that's where I realized they were intelligent things, flying this thing here. The light turns off, and then what you had is just like a reddish, bluish, greenish, goldish mix of color coming on top of the car, and myself and my brother inside of the car. He never came out, by the way. I was there, and you know what? We thought earlier it was a helicopter, but I flew a helicopter in California. I was training to be a pilot, and they make a flapping noise, like flap, 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 flap. This thing was making a humming noise, like see, and then I couldn't see what it was until my eyes finally adapt, and then it was the shock of my life. I had previous shock, but that one was it. I could see the circumference, the belly of a flying saucer that was motionless, 30 feet or so above the car. And then they said, oh, if you go under a flying saucer, you're going to be cooked or microwaved. Not true. Believe me. I was outside. I was banging the hood of my brother's car, screaming every bad French words that I knew, asking him to go out to look. Of course, he did not. And then I was just, oh my gosh. Oh, I thought I could say I was just totally blown away, because now you are forced. You cannot, your eyes don't lie to you anymore. It's not a product of your imagination or what people say. It's an actual flying saucer suspended above a brand new Mercedes that is stolen in the middle of the vineyard, in a small road, in a rural road. Wow. And it's just after 10 at night. Like maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum from the farm. We were about 5 minutes away from the farm. So, yeah, I was looking at this thing, and then the light came up again. Oh, my gosh, blinded me again. And then I watched that thing slowly but surely flew away and flew maybe 5 feet above a chimney, above the chimney of the farm that was on the other side of that little road. And now, there are tons and tons of power lines in this area. It may be in a rural area, but there is an electrical pole everywhere, power line, big, huge power line, because we have an electric station not too far. My gosh, how is this possible? I thought, how can they be flying the huge machine without hurting anything? And how that thing can be suspended like that? See, all those questions in my head. Now listen to this. When I walk back in the car, my brother says to me, you ain't going to say a word about that. This did not happen. Oh, I thought, I'm going to knock his face right now. I said, Joe, it did happen. You saw it. He says, yes, but I'm dealing with some big guys, okay, and they're going to think we are crazy, so you keep it for you. You don't say nothing. Now listen to this. About 30 years later, at a Christmas dinner, he said, because everybody was listening to him, he was a big mafioso guy, he said, you know what, we own the truth to our children. So what Louis has said about this flying saucer is true. Son of a gun. He waited so many years to finally make me look normal to the rest of the family.
That's very nice.
And listen to this. That's not finished. We drove to that discotheque, okay?
Yeah.
And I recall very well, I never, ever seen my brother smoking or drinking my entire life, but that night. He was on one side of the bar with a bottle of scotch and with a cigar, okay? In France, we don't have shots. You buy your bottle. You buy your bottle and you put your name in it, and then when you come back the next day, you get your bottle. So everybody did that. That's the way we do this in France. Anyway, so I was looking at him, and I was on the other side of the bar doing exactly the same thing. And we were looking at each other. We were wondering how. Normally when we arrived, we have the barman, we have the waitresses, they are cleaning, they are preparing to open a discotheque. The discotheque was full and action. What the hell did we go in what seems to be a few seconds looking at a flying saucer? We have now over an hour and a half of missing time. And that, again, is nothing compared to the next one as far as missing time is concerned. So that's why earlier I said it's such a very, very personal experience, and why you can dance on your head, you can do anything you want. And I'm glad it happened with my brother, because Joe doesn't believe in nothing. Doesn't believe in God. He didn't believe in UFO. He doesn't believe in astrology. Believe me. So this night he got his 4x4 wake-up call in the back of the head. and he realized that life is not just about being practical and making money and screwing everybody, because that's what he did all his life. That's why he has so much money. But anyway, so that when I came back to England after that, that really, really got me, because I start to remember my first introduction when I was a kid. Then what happened with those three guys giving me a headache that was freaking killing me for weeks at a time, not knowing where the hell I went all night. Then with my brother, in order to keep my sanity, each time it happened with a family member. And the next one is happened with my wife, my ex-wife. So I went back to England, and I thought, there's something, I really felt it inside of my soul. There is more in my life than just catching a record and singing. There's something more important for what I have seen, what I went through, that I can't even talk to nobody about, because it was just mining me inside. I had a lot of questions, and then I had the answer, a part of the answer, because I was faced with the reality of extraterrestrial having the freaking flying saucers suspended 30 feet above my head. There is no denying anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the regular discotheque where they were playing my music, and then it was just a regular night. And I went to the bar and I asked for a drink, and then next to me there was this guy from San Diego, American guy. We engaged in a conversation, and I said to him, "Oh my gosh, you're from America?" And he started to tell me a little bit about San Diego and this and that. I was all excited, and I had no plan to move to America then, believe me. And then I said to him, "Oh, I never seen a dollar. Can you show me a dollar?" He said, "I don't have a dollar, but I have a quarter. I still have this quarter, man. It's all cheese, so I had it welded on a cross. It's just amazing. I still have this quarter." Anyway, and then he says to me, "Here is my business card. Okay, if you ever decide to go to America, my name is John. All you got to do is to call me, and I will help you. I will put you up until you find a job. I will help you with your paperwork, whatever." All right. So I was just on top of the world. And that's where I thought, oh, my gosh, I need to find a job that pays me a lot of money. I want to go to America. That was it. I was studying. I smoked Marlboro during those days. I was watching movies, Western. I was really, really focused. I wanted to go to America, and nothing was going to stop me, apart from that I didn't have any money. But that's where, again, the magic comes to play. I opened a newspaper. Now, first of all, there is a derby going on in America, the derby, and I never forget the name of that horse. I never ever play horses in my life, ever. The horse name is Corbière. He's probably dead by now. Anyway, and then the restaurant owner says, "Okay, everybody put $10. All the staff put $10, and whomever wins gonna get that." That's what they used to do. And I never played before, so I look at all the horses, and I saw Corbière. It's a French name. I said, "This guy sounds good. I'm betting my $10. I hope I'm going to win, because I need the money to go to America."
Yeah.
Guess what? Corbière won.
Really?
Yeah, my mother life, she's gone. So sorry. God bless you, my mother. On my son's life, I don't make things up. It's true. Corbière went in, and I got all the money from everybody. Okay, and then there was still not enough to pay. I needed like $600 or $700 to go to the United States during those days. That's what I had to collect. I had a good chunk of it, but not enough. Then I look at a newspaper a few days later, and they were looking for welders. And then when I was a kid, I remember 14 years old, I didn't want to, stay home anymore because my parents were fighting and things like that. I was a runaway. And then I used to sleep on the beach, and the cops stopped me and he said, "You can't sleep on the beach." Then I went to sleep on top of the stairs in a big building because it was cold. And then the people were complaining, and the cops were always, taking me to jail. And then they said, "It's either you go back home, you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail, or you go into the FPA." The FPA is a program that is paid by the government, where for 6 months they are going to train you to have a job, to have a trade, and So
yeah.
I said, okay, I'm going to go to school, and then for 6 months I learned to be a welder, and I was the top of the class. I ended up the top of welder of the class, and then I found a job in Germany where I was making a fortune. After 3 months, I had more money that I needed. I paid for my plane ticket, and I kind of wasted the rest, because I didn't know how much money I had. So I blew it because I didn't know how to handle my finances. I was young. So that's the difference between France, England, and America. America, if your parents are not rich, you cannot go to college, and they don't invest in their children. My French government invested in me, and so when I came here, instead of joining a gang, I went and worked in a U.S. base in Pearl Harbor and in San Diego, and I was making $65 an hour.
Good
See,
grief.
that's the beauty of your government investing 6 months. They don't invest in kids here. They don't care about kids. So that's why there is so much gang, so much death, so much. It's a capitalist country. If your parents are not rich, you are nobody. You're nothing. You're finished. The only thing you can do is sell drugs. See what I'm saying? And I'll join a gang. And then they are afraid of socialism. Oh, you talk about socialism in America, they all want to hang you. They don't understand that there is beauty in socialism. The government takes care of their kids, and I'm a full example. If it wasn't for my government to invest in me for 6 months, when I arrived in L.A. In 1984, I would have joined a gang and sell drugs and be dead now, obviously.
Yeah.
So I got lucky all along. I was guided. Okay, so here goes the story. You go back to the bar, meet this guy, give me the quarter, give me his card, win the game with cold beer, and then get the job in Germany, come back with enough money, buy the ticket, and on my way. Oh, my gosh, imagine that. I never flew before. When I arrived above Los Angeles, I said, oh, my God. Remember, it takes like 2 or 3 minutes walking to cross my village. I was flying on a big, huge jet for 25 minutes above the city before we got to the airport. I was looking down there. I said, oh, my gosh, what am I doing here? That's a big freaking place. Los Angeles is like 200 or 300 miles long. So I said, what am I going to do there? Holy goosey. Anyway, we landed, and to tell you that I have divine guidance, listen to this, because it's just incredible. I was really supposed to be in this country, and I was guided all along. So I arrived at the airport. From there was a Greyhound. I took the Greyhound. He was supposed to take me to San Diego, and he did. But I had my suitcase, and inside of my suitcase, I had my master tape, because all I wanted to do is did what I did in Paris and bring my musician to L.A. I had all my music in that big suitcase. And I give that to the guy, and he says, okay, I'm going to put it in the bus. And I had my eyes fixed in every single suitcase and bag this guy put into the bus. And my suitcase was not there. So I told the guy, I says, look, I've watched you, okay, since the get-go. I've never seen my suitcase. You didn't put my suitcase. I have my life in there. He says, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take all the suitcase to check if yours is there. It's probably in there and that you didn't sit. I was mortified, because then I would have been in serious trouble. I had nothing. So that's why if you ever travel to a foreign country, don't write that you are from London when you go to the United States. because there is crooks everywhere. What happened is one person put that suitcase somewhere, and then the bus started to come up from the ground and then to the street level, and it was just about, luckily for me, the light was red, and the bus stopped just in front of the office, and I could see my suitcase by the desk. I screamed, "Stop, stop!" He was already stopped, but I said, "Stop, open the door." He opened the door, I went outside, I grabbed my suitcase, and I went right back into the bus. If that is not divine, nothing is divine.
Yeah.
Can you believe this? Okay, when I recall those stories, I said, "This is a movie. My life is a movie," and people will not believe it. What happened? What I went through, and all the way, this guidance, this protection. Anyway, so I arrived in San Diego, and then I took another bus, and I said, "I need to go to Mission Boulevard," and that's right by the ocean, because he told me that he was by the ocean. So I had my big bag and I had my suitcase, and it was April when I arrived, 1984, and it was really hot. And I was walking along the beach, and I had a culture shock. I saw those guys with those big, huge, short swimming suit, and I saw all the girls wearing bras. I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm in the 1930s here. What's this?" I'm not used to that. I was used to see girls, topless all everywhere in France. So that was kind of very special. Well, basically, America was built by puritanical, so religious people fleeing their country and bringing religion in this country. So anyway, I finally find the place. I was so happy. I said, "Oh my gosh, here it is. I had the right number." Yeah, okay. And I had faith all along. I was, very happy to meet John again. So I walk in that place. It was like a little shop where they were selling T-shirts, and they were selling all sorts of stuff to go swimming, and then I landed on two guys there, two old guys. I mean, married couple, old people. I said, "Excuse me, can I speak to John?" And they look at me and said, "Who is John?" I said, "Oh, is this the right address?" I thought I messed up the address. "Yeah, you are the right address." I said, is John? Well, there's no John here. I said, "Is no your son or your grandson?" I start to describe what they look like. I said, No, we have no kids. Kids are grown and gone, and they don't even live in the States. We're retired. We're running this little business for 30 years now. Oh, my gosh. I said, "Okay, remember, cell phone didn't exist. So there was this phone in the bottom." I said, "Is there any way, please, you could make a call for me and they'll pay you back?" But, they said, yeah, no problem. So they made a call. Of course, the call went nowhere. So I'm now nearly 70 years old. I'm still looking for John. You know what I'm saying? Now, who the hell was this guy? What the hell did he give me a cart and a quarter? This is all planned. I realize now that was all planned to bring me to this country for two more extraordinary UFOs experience. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So this is what I did. I had only $50 left in my pocket, and I was freaking out. I said, "What am I going to do now? Oh my gosh, this time I cannot play guitar in the street in this city." So I spent the first night in a motel. I knew it was going to be my first and last, so I might as well sleep in a bed. Okay, and then the next morning, I look and I saw under the bed a newspaper. Guess what? They didn't clean pretty good here, but hey, so I look at a newspaper and I look roommate. What does it mean? What is this? What is that? Oh, so I went down the office. I paid for the night, and I said to them, "Can I use your phone?" They said, "Yeah." So I called the lady, and she said, "Well, it's next door. Come and visit me. Come and talk to me, and then we see what we can do." So I was very happy. I said, "Okay, I'm on my way." She said, "Okay, I'll wait for you." Wow, wait a second here. In America, when they say it's next door, it might be 20, 30 miles away. That's next door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to keep the money that I had in my pocket. Plus, I didn't know the bus system on top of that. So, like I always did, put my bag on my shoulder, pull my suitcase with my right hand. It had two little wheels that fell every second. very heavy suitcase. All my life was in that suitcase. And I started to walk. It was about 9 o'clock, 9:30, when I left the motel. And I finally made it. I arrived at 4:30 in the afternoon. I walked all freaking day under the sun. That was a terrible, terrible walk. And each time I drive there in La Jolla, I remember. So she told me she lived in a building called the Tides, and it's still there in front of a Ferrari, car garage. Each time I drove there a million times, always I remember that walk in 1984 when I had nothing. So I arrived and I knocked at her door, and she saw me with my suitcase in my bag. She says, "Oh my gosh, you're fast. You're moving in." I said, so she got me in there. She says, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from France." She said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, looking for a place to stay, a roommate." And then she goes, "Oh, wait a minute here. What I meant by roommate is I need 3 or 4 guys like you. We put like $200 or $300, yeah, and then we get a big house by the ocean. So you're the first one that show up who answered my ad." Oh, and then she said, when I told her I was French, she flipped. She says, "Oh my gosh, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. You guys sleep on my couch. My daughter, she had a daughter, she was like 13, maybe 15, I'm not sure, and she was very late in her French. So she said to me, you're going to tutor my daughter because I cannot afford a French teacher, and she wants to learn French, and she's kind of behind for whatever tuition they gave her." So I said, "Okay, listen to this." An hour and a half or so later, I said to her, "I'm going to walk around to see where I am." She said, "Okay." And I walk up the street, and I saw a sign saying French Gourmet, one of the most successful French restaurants in La Jolla, which is a billionaire place. I landed in a very rich, very snobby place. And I didn't know I was going to make the front line in a newspaper and on television in that city when I arrived there a few years later. But anyway, the very same day, I walked into that restaurant, and I saw the owner is a French guy, Michel, and we're still really good friends. I said to him, "Well, you know what, I need a place to stay, I need a job. My first job was a butcher, but I also work in the bakery." He said, "No problem. Hey, during those days, it was easy to come here. There was no crazy stuff going on with immigration. So I worked for him, and I became his general manager, and he gave me a place to stay, and I started my life right there."
Good grief. Well, Dr. Turi, I'll have to interrupt you. We're going to have to stop the show here,
Okay.
and then we'll have to call back in, okay, so we can use the next 2 hours. Is that okay?
It's okay with me. You calling me back, or I call you back?
Yeah, if you call back in about five minutes, is that okay?
Yeah, okay. We'll do that.
Brilliant. Cheers. Okay.
All right, Susie.
Right, so just so everybody know, please sign back into Blog Talk Radio. We have literally got to sign back in. So I'll end this episode and I'll restart the new episode straight away. So literally just straight away, come back in, give us a call in. We'll be taking some calls, and we'll also be joined by Lisa Barretta as well. So if you'd like to join in, we'll be back very, very soon. Thank you.